It's fine.
Hello, my name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating the third of a 5-session series of Evil Hat's playtest of Fate of Umdaar. This is their new fate setting, a planetary romance, a daring do, a swashbuckling fate setting. You want to hear more about it? Go back to the start of session 1, where we go into some depth. But all I need to do is to say that we are playing these sessions as part of the Gauntlet online tabletop role-playing communities monthly calendar, in which we all learn a lot. And if you don't know about the Gauntlet, search Gauntlet-RPG to find out about us and come join us. And that's all I'm going to say at this point, apart from the fact we're playing with the usual set of safety tools. See session 1 and session 2 for more on that, but I want to get stuck into play today, and these players are consistent. We are expecting a 4th player shortly, fingers crossed. I need to finish by saying my pronouns are he, him, and then I will go to Sabine. Say hello, tell us about your pronouns, introduce us to Lars Gloomfall, and maybe tell us something that we found out about Lars last week.
Yeah, I am Sabine, I use any pronouns, and I'm playing Lars Gloomfall, who uses he, him pronouns. Lars is a runesmith, and he looks a bit like a dinosaur, but nice one, I guess. Not too tall or anything, because he's a wizard kind of guy. And there he is. Yeah, right. And that's what he does. Yeah, what else? Well, last session, what did we learn about him? He had to face down his grandmother, the High Warden of the Pit of Pain. And he's still rather shaken about the whole thing.
Yes.
Because he had a quiet life, a nice life, right? A safe life. And now suddenly he's joined various rebellions, is trying to find an ancient artifact, all because he thinks he should do what's right instead of what's convenient. But it scares him.
I think it probably does. Now, I'm conscious that if Alexi, I'm simply going to ask you to say hello, tell us about pronouns, and tell us something about Princess Zenobia. Princess Zenobia was here last time, but you weren't. So I'm not expecting you to tell me anything about the last session unless you really want to. But tell us something just about Princess Zenobia, so we've got a pen picture of what she is about.
Sure. So I'm Alexi, he, him. You can follow all of my gaming endeavors online at Cloven Pine Games, if that's something you're interested in. And I am playing the character Princess Zenobia Gallowglass. She is a 19-year-old human, the rebellious scion of a master. So her father is Gullian Gallowglass, master of the Ascendant Castle in the Rusted Ridge, and for much of her life she bought his propaganda that he was a harsh but fair benevolent overlord, until she learned that he in fact maintained his own immortal life and rule by feasting on his subjects' souls using a soul extractor, and that was the last straw for her. So she ran from home. She stole her daddy's magic daggers, and she is trying to find ways to strike back against the tyranny of the masters, and particularly her father. Last session, Zenobia took more of a back seat because I was away dealing with a family thing, but I am back now and happy to pick up where we left off and see how Zenobia is now more of an integrated part of this party, because of course she was hanging back watching suspiciously what some of the others were doing, and I think by the end of their previous adventure she is kind of more convinced that Lars and Thorian are on the side of the angels, like her, working in the shadows to attack the evil forces that rule this world.
I think that's very fair, because last time it was definitely that kind of resolving the two pairs of characters beginning to develop a sense of, if not interdependence, certainly trust. And I think we crossed that bridge. So
we met in a tavern, and now we are a party.
There you go. I mean, how classic do you want to get? So you mentioned aforesaid Lars and Thorian. So let's go to Thorian. Will, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and give us a brief pen picture of Thorian, and maybe tell us something from last time that we learned or you want us to know.
My name is Will. My pronouns are he, him, as are those of Thorian, my Rad-Folk scholar monk, Warrior-Scholar, I think actually is how I wrote it. But yeah, he is a Rad-Folk from the Glowing Sands, who is, believes that empathy is the only way that we can beat entropy, and we are all connected by the energy that we share. And last session, he rescued one of his companions, who I gave a name based around radiation, but I can't summon it from the top of my skull.
Ionicus?
Ionicus, that was it. Ionicus, yeah, who was Ionicus the Wise, who had been captured by in the pit of pain and was being drained. And we rescued him, freeing one of the folk before. And Thorian is on a quest for this hammer because it can free his people who have been converted into energy to power these demiurge devices.
Yeah, it's worth just touching on that. In the first two sessions, we discovered that the Rad-Folk who are irradiating, the energy inside them can be, or that makes them up, can be extracted to power these ancient artifacts that litter the land of Umdaar. But only by sucking them dry. I think that is something that Granny Yngvi, the High Warden of the Pit of Pain, has discovered following Lars dropping a number of Rad-Folk pilgrims in her lap. So that knowledge is currently located with you and with Granny Yngvi. What exactly she plans to do with that knowledge, we don't yet know. And to pick up the other point, the hammer of the beasts of Umdaar, which is, you believe, the artifact that the Cudgelord of the North possesses, that is supposed to be able to destroy other demiurge artifacts. And the hope, it can only be a hope at this point, Thorian, is that by destroying those artifacts, you can release the energy of your people. Fine.
There is always hope, Alan, always.
Now, I'm going to be very careful here because Brandon, you are not yet at home, and so I'm just going to ask you to say hello, tell us your pronouns, and just introduce us simply to the name and kind of high concept of your character.
Happy to do so. My name's Brandon. He. My character is Victory Through Perseverance. She. Who is an ageless Mutawarrior, which is a race that was created an awful long time ago probably by the demiurge in order to be soldiers. She's had several lifetimes punctuated by long periods of suspended animation, apparently, but she doesn't really remember. She is she rides an enormous mutated horse rhinoceros thing called the Zhevra. And she was Zenobia's devoted childhood friend and protector. And when the princess rebelled and fled, she chose to follow the princess rather than her own oaths of loyalty, which is a ferocious departure for someone of her ilk.
That's fine, thank you. And I'm not going to ask you anything else till you get home and tune in. So you can listen along, because I'm concerned that I don't distract you. So that is where we left it last time, with our adventurers having freed the former master of the Icequake Tundra, the necroid octopus. Not a phrase I'd expected to repeat a lot. Aquata, who has wandered off expecting, in return for the fact that she told you where the hammer was, she is expecting to, I think she probably wants to be the master of the Icequake Tundra again. So you may need to solve a different problem before we're finished. The other bit of housekeeping to do, I think, just as I look at the character sheets, remember that stress clears between scenes. So if any of you are currently marking any stress, it shouldn't be. Consequences, however, don't, and we'll come to those shortly. You were last time in the Dustball kingdom, which is a desert kingdom, therefore presumably far to the south. I cannot think non-European in the sense of where deserts are. And of course, the Icequake Tundra is far to the north. And so the first part of today's session, this episode of Fate of Umdaar, is going to be about you making that journey. And in my mind's eye, I'm seeing those scenes from Lord of the Rings where our adventurers are heading through a montage of travel going north, starting behind me, perhaps in the temperate lands between the desert and the mountains of the north, then moving beyond the mountains of the north, where you'll be able to see the Icequake Tundra. And the way I want to come at this is I want each of you to frame a scene in which you will be the kind of lead problem solver. So I'm going to go in order of character keeper because I lack imagination. So let me begin. Will, do you want to frame a scene as you move out of the desert into more temperate climes? Just give me a picture of what we see on screen, and then frame a scene that Thorian will, a scene with a problem that Thorian will take the lead in trying to solve.
I think it is, we come to a ravine that we must scale the wall of to progress, and one of us is going to have to, and Thorian will lead up with, blaze a trail, climbing up this face and pointing out the handholds and perhaps like stabbing in pitons and things to allow the others to come up, being by far the most athletic of the bunch.
Indeed so. And so this sounds like, is this a difficult path or a cliff?
I think it's a cliff. Let's say it's let's put it, it's like a sheer rock face. It's impassable. It'll take us many moons to go around the other direction, and perhaps our supplies are not quite enough to go in, because we have only just left the desert, so we have not had a chance to forage for more sustenance yet.
Okay. And I'm imagining something like the kind of that rift that separates the north of South Africa from the south of South Africa, where there's quite a steep drop off down to dry plains. So you've made your way out of the desert through the dry plains, and then there is that cliff. And so there has to be that kind of close up of Thorian, on a cliff, just head and shoulders, and then we pull out to see that he is halfway up an enormous cliff.
Yeah, with maybe like a rope tied around, like bundled around one arm kind of thing that he's going to drop down to.
Exactly. In the hope that, and then and we can see that the rest of the group have made it as far as a ledge, and we'll come to the Zhevra shortly. I'm looking forward to that one. And so Thorian, what I'm thinking here is that are you looking to create an advantage that the others could exploit in order to make this climb easier for them?
I mean, that sounds like a good way of phrasing it, doesn't it? There's
that's the lead you're taking, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's a path that the others will. Yeah, so if you'd like to do it like that, sounds great to me. Create the advantage of Thorian's rope or whatever, right? Like, yeah. Nope.
So I think that because cliff is tough, so I'm going to set the difficulty at 3, and let's see how the dice and your skill work.
Okay.
It must be said last time you were rolling some pretty awful dice, but there's a +1. Hey. So hang on, let me readmit Brandon. There we go. So +1 on the dice.
Difficulty 3, you said, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So +1 on this. So that's +2 at the moment.
It is
Oh, well.
+2. Do you want to try to push this to success with style? Because at the moment you have created the advantage of a fixed rope. Yeah. You've created that advantage. If you got to success with style, you get 2 free invokes, not just 1 for the rest of the group.
However, I'm not sure any of my aspects or any of the aspects of the world would fit here, unfortunately. Because Warrior, Scholar of the Rad-Folk, Pilgrim of the Rad-Folk tribe, and a Voyage of Discovery, I don't believe any of them would fit, frankly.
As a pilgrim, you might have traversed difficult trails before. Could have taught you something about getting up steep cliffs.
Yeah, I think if I'm honest, I would have, if I'd phrased it as a voyage of exploration, something maybe, or an explorer of the Rad-Folk tribe. But I think it's more about a journey around the peoples of Umdaar rather than the places so much. But I appreciate the thing, so I think I'm just going to have to be true to the aspects and say that I don't have a way of bumping it up with a fate point.
Okay. So there is 1 free invoke. So I guess I ought to ask, who wants to go next and roll athletics to climb the rope?
I'll go.
Well,
or I'll let Zenobia go.
I think the issue for Vicky, victory through perseverance, is quite how the Zhevra was going to play into this.
Oh yes, I guess it's not. I only heard of I missed a few minutes there.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, if there's a rope involved, there's no way the Zhevra goes up that way.
So we might.
The Zhevra can climb vertical surfaces itself.
Yes. Well, I might as well cling to its back then, as probably a better way than climbing a rope.
So I tell you what, let's have Vicky do that. Is this about you making swift progress, or is it about you in some way providing a safety net for Princess Zenobia?
The latter for certain.
Okay, so let's have you roll with Ride to see if you can successfully create an advantage of some kind. Tell me what aspect you're hoping to create here that might help the princess, or the princess might have a view.
They're going up a rope over basically an escarpment, right? And I mean, if at all possible, I'd like to extend her. It can either be that I could find that another way up, or I could extend her a sort of backup rope that she could keep tied to her belt in the event that she lost her.
Okay, so
which sounds more interesting.
Yes, I think that does sound more interesting. So
yeah, give me the safety line.
Okay, yes, okay. There's a safety line, so it's attached to the saddle of the Zhevra.
Okay, let's have you.
Vicky has the other end.
Okay, let's have you roll against this. This sounds more difficult than just climbing. So the difficulty here is 4.
I got a 7.
Oh well, look at that. So you got 7. My goodness me, against it. So it's success by 3, success with style, 2 free invokes on the safety net, the safety line, Princess Zenobia, if you need it.
Yeah, so I might. I have 0 athletics.
Yeah. So Lars, given that Vicky is doing her best to support Princess Zenobia, you are the only person relying entirely on Thorian and his rope. No? I'm master of gravity. So tell me what do we see then?
We see that Lars starts climbing the rope, and I will roll for that. But I have that safety net of my gravity control, because I think that Thorian did this thing for all of us, and I want to use it. But I probably will fall.
It was purely because we were framing a scene in which one of us, we each do something to help us journey onwards. But if everyone wants to do their own thing, Thorian's happy to just be like, oh, well,
But Lars thinks Thorian this is kind of a thing that Thorian has done for us, and it would be ungrateful not to use it, right? So he'll start clambering up the rope, maybe.
Fine. So do you want to lighten the load by creating an advantage with your gravity control before you start climbing?
No, I want to see how that goes. How difficult is it to climb up this rope?
I think it's a difficulty of 3.
Okay.
So your athletics is 0. So let's see how this goes.
I'm rolling a +1, and I will use the free invoke of the rope that Thorian has created.
So I think that gives you a tie, does it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fine. So on a tie, succeed at a minor cost. I really can only think that this is going to generate some rope burns.
Yep. Probably never done this.
I think so. So just give yourself 1 point of. Well, no, I'll give you an option. Would you prefer this to be? I just had a lovely thought.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to spend a fate point and invoke your nervous about my life goals.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Consequence.
Fine. Okay.
So this moves a tie to -2.
Oh, well, okay. So I'm at 1. I wouldn't need to spend a fate point. I just use my gravity.
Well, you could spend a fate point to invoke your gravity. Simple as that.
Oh, that's a good point. Yes, I will do that. That is a good point. I will invoke the fact that I am a runesmith, and give myself +2, and then I'm a tie again, and I will take stress from the rope burns. Right?
Yeah, mental as a kind of mental stress or physical. 1 point. Take your pick.
I think it's physical. It's not mental. I'm not really scared of falling here but I'm not used to dragging myself up by my hands. It's kind of
such delicate crafting hands as well.
I tried, and now I've got blisters. I don't know if reptiles get blisters, but maybe they do.
Okay, so this sees Lars making progress. Princess, you've got a safety line, wrapped around the pommel of the Zhevra's saddle. Does the Zhevra have a saddle? I haven't asked that question.
It does have a. I mean, I don't require a saddle, but the saddle's useful for carrying things. So yes, it does.
And tying off ropes on. So yes. Princess. What do we see as Lars has made progress, has caught up to where Thorian is resting on a ledge now? Vicky has made progress. What do we see you doing?
Yeah, she takes a moment, to take in the scale of this cliff, take a steadying breath. All right, we've got this. Yeah. And just, puts on a lot of confidence to attempt to scale this height, with the help of these ropes provided. So I am going to roll these dice and see what happens.
Difficulty is 3.
Difficulty is a 3. Well, it looks to me like the dice have zeroed out.
Okay, athletics is 0, dice is 0. You are currently on -3.
So if I can I use both of the free invokes that Vicky gave me?
I don't. I always get a bit twitchy about stacking invokes on the same.
But that's the point of the 2 free invokes.
Yeah, I know. It just seems a bit of a get out. But okay, I'll let you invoke them twice.
Or can perhaps I can invoke one of them, since I've certainly got a hand on that rope.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 free invokes, that will get you from -3 to +1. And what do we see that kind of illustrates that you need those free invokes?
Oh, I think there's a moment where the rock breaks under her foot and she loses her grip on the one line, and it's like swinging from the safety line, and then kind of Vicky, you do something to help me make my way back to the main line.
Yeah, well, Vicky is phenomenally strong. The meter warriors are, and she just hand over hand reels you in. Until you can get a purchase, you know, and then kick back over to the line again, because, you know, you should be able to climb it by yourself.
So I'm seeing the Zhevra is kind of the clawed hooves are in the rock.
Yeah, it's wedged a front, you know, a front claw and two different crevices.
Vicky is standing in the stirrups, hauling Zenobia up to a point where Zenobia grips the original rope and makes the trip up. I love that.
Yeah.
So this takes you up into the temperate grasslands. Let me come next. Now, and bear in mind, folks, that you had, I should have said this, you did have some wishes last time. Most of them were about having Zenobia back, but there was something, Will, you had one about wilderness exploration, and Sabine, you had, how does Lars connect to ordinary people? So, you know, if there is a way that you can set yourself up to meet your own wish, that's fine by me. So, because it is now, Sabine, set me a scene, frame me a scene in which Lars is going to take the lead, and in which, you know, we move forward from that.
I think you said we should think about things that we might use to find out something about the Cudgelord, right? So I think what happens, I've written this in our group chat before, but I will restate it. I think what happens is that we come upon a settlement where they are building a statue, right? It's a huge statue made of rocks and things. And the statue has taken vague forms we might recognize because it looks kind of almost a little like a quada. And the people who live here are exiles from the ice tundra who are still loyal to Aquata for whatever reason. I don't know if these are really qualify as normal people, because I think they're a bit of a cult, but well, they aren't magic or anything. They are basically people who lived in the ice tundra and now live here. I think they look a little like raccoon people, fox or something like that, something furry, or marmots, right? That's even more perfect. Little, and but they are big, right? They are not bear size, but yeah, well, they're a person big, and they are building the statue, and they are. Oh, I don't know how hospitable they are towards people who just clambered up their cliff.
Well, I mean, how so you've painted the picture. I'm seeing, you know, the you know, piling rocks up, and clearly there's a challenge about how they represent Aquata's tentacled head. That is clearly a problem for them.
Yeah.
But I think you can see, as we look down on the settlement, you can see that they've laid out rocks around the statue in the shape of a splayed set of tentacles, which I think is the clue that this is related to Aquata. Is there do they have buildings here? Is the settlement tented? What are we?
I think they have buildings. They've been here. I don't know how long ago Aquata was cast out, but it might have started out as a temporary settlement, but it's now more of a permanent one where they started building huts with the rocks they don't need for the statue. This has been a project for a while now, but they are loyal to Aquata. Yeah, and I think we maybe want to, well, refresh our stuff here, provisions, and also maybe find out some stuff that has to do with the Cudgelord, find some information about him, because it seems like they come from the ice tundra, might know more stuff than we do, right? So
so that's the kind of briefing that Lars is suggesting to the rest of the champions.
Well, Lars would suggest that we go in and tell them that yes, we saw she is free. We bring the precious and joyful news to them that maybe we might have had a personal hand in freeing her and our close personal friends of Aquata.
Okay, so I'm seeing you heading towards where the community is clearly engaged on this community project. You know, people are handing stones, and so how do you get their attention, Lars, to make this announcement of your status?
Vicky on a Zhevra, I believe. I don't need to do a lot of stuff. I mean, she's with us, right?
Okay.
And I don't know, she's not very subtle She?
Okay. So Vicky, what demeanor are you seeking to transmit? Is this I'm just noticeable and friendly, or is it more towards the don't mess with me?
I think what Vicky intends here and what happens are two different things. Because this is actually planetary romance, yes. And I think that that Vicky goes there, planning to just back up Princess Zenobia and basically say don't mess with her. But someone catches her eye, or vice versa, or it's mutual.
Okay. I mean,
and all of a sudden it's confusing and complicated.
okay. So I think that sounds more like provoke than rapport. So Vicky, let me have you roll against a difficulty of 3 with provoke.
So I rolled an even, and I have a provoke of 1.
So currently sitting on -2.
Yes.
And you can see the crowd as all eyes are drawn to Vicky, as Lars describes. And you can see that they are not friendly and not currently intimidated, Vicky. Do you want to spend a fate point to make that go your way? Because you're currently on -2.
I do. And yes, the quad is free.
But I don't know which aspect you're invoking to get that -2 to a tie.
Oh, a quad is free.
World aspect.
Oh, the world
So
aspect. I see what you mean. Okay.
That's a world aspect that
Okay.
these people don't know.
How does that play into? So you're announcing that.
I'm going to announce it.
Okay. Okay.
It just strikes me that I ought to do that. It's an impulse, and I don't know where it came from.
Okay. So that turns that failure into a tie. You're in a tough narrative spot. Because somebody says, the strangers invoke the name of Aquata. And they see you as a threat because the provoke is now, stronger than it was. But the outcome is that people you can see them picking up rocks and heading down from the statue. Lars.
Okay. I will step in front of them and give a smile that I hope is beatific, right? Totally ignoring the fact that they are picking up rocks and some such. And I say, yes, as my companion states, Aquata is free. We freed her. We are her new priests. She personally told me that I am her new chosen high priest, and I will give some detail about her eyes, how they were sparkling when we were free to him. I mean, we actually saw her, so to convince them that, yep, this guy actually saw her. So
I mean, that sounds like deceive to me, because it shifted from rapport to you actually outright lying to them. Again, I think the difficulty now is 4, because the mood of the crowd is not great.
Yeah, okay. Let's see how that goes. It's a tie, so I won't spend another fate point.
So there's 0 on the dice, 3 deceive, you're on -1 then.
Yeah, so I spend a fate point to get 2 + 1.
And which aspect are we invoking?
I mean,
Aquata is free.
Yeah, Aquata is free. I mean, that seems like it's before I try to figure out another justification. I'll just take that one.
And I think that will turn that failure into a success. And people are, they still have the rocks. And she says, and she described her, and they're looking. Described. And you hear them whispering. Older members of the community are saying, yes, that is the description. Those are the eyes of Aquata that she describes. Perhaps she. And the crowd is won over, Lars. The people who are not won over are the current priesthood of Aquata. And you can see more ornately dressed. They're staying up on the low hill where the statue is being built. Or this kind of crudely shaped cairn, perhaps. In fact, I don't think they're up to building a statue. I think that they're building something on a hillside to represent Aquata, perhaps. And you can see a group of these folks slightly more ornately dressed up on the hill looking down. And Lars, that the crowd, the people may be on your side, but their leadership remain an issue. Princess Zenobia, what do you do at this point, if anything?
No. I think there's things to be done. So there are kind of sympathetic marmots, and then there are these unhappy looking, high priestly marmots,
high marmots
up further, looking down on us. How chaotic do we want this to get?
Well, I mean, one of the things you were hoping was to find some stuff out about the Cudgelord before you got there.
Mm-hmm.
So how chaotic do you want it to get?
Yeah, I'm wondering whether we should try to leverage this fission in this group, or patch it over and leave the community in peace.
I'm open to offers.
Zenobia, you are trying to break something.
It's true. That's what that hammer is for. Yeah, I think she'll call out a challenge to the the priest looking down. She says, "You turn up your noses at us when we arrive, bringing the great and glorious news of Lady Aquata's enfranchisement. You call yourselves her retainers, and yet you refrain from celebrating her release. You are false. You are unworthy. And these people can serve Aquata better without you."
Oh my. And people say, debate. There should be a debate. Screen wipe to the four of you standing up on the high ground, the four of the existing priesthood of Aquata standing up on the high ground, and the crowd of people say, debate. Who will lead us? Who wants to open on your side?
I started this. I'm happy to keep it going a little longer, unless Thorian, you want to take a first crack.
I would like a whispered conversation before we enter.
Yeah.
Let's have a whispered conversation.
Princess, what are we aiming for here? What is our goal?
I just think these people would be more useful to us if we are their leaders, instead of these fuddy-duddies who are not really very thrilled about their supposed god being freed. I have to say, I think they were just in it for themselves, and so we can probably do better by these marmots.
Zenobia, we don't want to give Aquata an actual power base here. This was just so we could find out stuff about the Cudgelord. Just saying. I mean,
we don't have to help Aquata. We just have to convince the Marmots that we are better representatives of Aquata than
we're not staying here.
the old guard.
But we're not staying here. Are we staying here?
We can leave them instructions. We can we can get what we need from them and then move on.
Okay, I guess, yeah.
We should leave these people free of Aquata.
They'll be more free if we defeat their priests and then give them some helpful precepts before we go on our merry way.
I will not be a false prophet of a false god, Zenobia.
When there's two, when they're both false, they sort of cancel out, don't they? Like it'd be worse to be a true prophet of a false god.
You have an interesting way of looking at the world, Princess.
It's kind of like magic works, to cancel
Victory.
out.
Victory gives a big sigh.
Well, so I mean, there seem to be conflicting views, or it's. Let me summarize. It sounds to me as though Thorian is saying, you don't mess with people's belief.
Thorian is more accurately saying that he's all for messing with people's belief in Aquata, but not pretending that we're the true prophets of Aquata, or if in fact, debating these priests and revealing that the whole thing was their power thing. But that is truly what that was the purpose of Aquata's religion as well. She was no god. She was simply a monster, a tyrant. And we are here to free the people of Umdaar from these tyrants.
So you want to go all the way, destroy
well,
their faith in Aquata rather than use their faith in Aquata to free them from Aquata's priesthood.
If we are going to, because then it's just like they'll still be faithful to Aquata, right? He's uncomfortable with the continue, because to him that's indulging the lie more.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you pushing on one of my aspects here?
Oh, that's an interesting idea, isn't it? I could suggest a compel. I would say maybe rebellious sign of a master might be the right one there, or won't get fooled again, because you are simply fooling other people in the same way that you were fooled. I think that's what I say. These people, they view themselves as Aquata's children, and they have been lied to. Would you lie to them more?
There is a compel on the table, Princess Zenobia. The compel is that that you should not follow a line in the debate that suggests that you are the priests of that you are better priests of Aquata.
Right. And if I take the compel, I get a fate point?
You do. If you don't want to compel, you lose a fate point.
And Thorian will just, if you don't take it, then he'll just nod and say, then I leave this to you, and watch from the sidelines. You know what I mean? He's not going to be like fussed about that.
Zenobia will kind of heave a sigh, look at Thorian, look at Vicky. I assume that Vicky's, sort of feeling Thorian's argument here too. What do you think, Brandon?
Victory says, Princess, I am not well made to resolve matters of this sort. All I can say is that if you are trying to remake the world, you should remake it into something better than it is.
All right, truth it is then. Fine, twist my arm. She'll like stalk over to start this debate, right? Where her her aim here is going to be to point out that the priests of Aquata have not, reacted with joy hearing that she is free, and that's because they correctly understand that she's a monster, and they've been lying to the people this whole time, and that people deserve the real truth that Aquata isn't worthy, and the priests have been manipulating them. But when Aquata is free, the priests realize that's terrible.
Okay, so I think the high priest of Aquata, his law, I think, is the argument here, because he is going to tell stories of Aquata and of the old country to keep the crowd on his side while you seek to undermine him.
Oh yeah.
So the way you seem to be coming at this seems, are you provoking, trying to crack his confidence, or are you trying to win the crowd?
I think I'm trying to win the crowd over. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I'm just constantly calling out and challenging the priests in a way where it's all about just the crowd undercutting the crowd's faith in their own leaders, and ultimately the god the leaders were pointing them towards.
Okay.
I try and use empathy to get a read on these priests, sense out, because our thoughts are energy. And it seems to me that like one of the most crucial things that you could have in any kind of a debate is knowing whether or not the person you're talking to genuinely believes in what they're saying, right? Like to create an aspect, basically.
Fine. So you're trying to work out, is there an aspect that you can that could be exploited in this debate? So let's have you roll with empathy. I think the priests, I'm going to give them a will of 2.
Okay.
So go at a difficulty of 2 with your empathy. Well, that's -2 on the dice, so you're currently sitting at 0. Your empathy is 2. So that is +2 so far.
Okay. Is that right? +2? Because I thought the difficulty was 2, so wouldn't it?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. You're on a tie.
I'm on a tie at the moment. Yeah. I will spend a fate point to invoke We Are Energy, and so you know what? I will invoke folklore as a means of control instead, because we haven't done that one yet.
And we're really kind of living in a scenario that's about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think perhaps that the way this looks is, we could reveal an aspect of him, or I could create like an aspect, I suppose, right?
I mean, I'm very happy to reveal one of his aspects that might be of value here.
Okay.
A thirst for temporal power.
Just greedy.
Can I coach Princess Zenobia on some aspects of the Aquata and in general kind of cosmological lore thingies that she might use as an argument here, right? Because I mean, this priest, he will probably try to undermine you, and he should. I don't know how much you studied these things, but these masters, they blah blah blah, and then I will try to create an aspect, an advantage with lore.
Fine. So currently we've got the aspect of the priest, thirst for temporal power, with 2 free with a free invoke, and you're looking to do a bit of just drag up some stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
I think again, I think difficulty is 3 here.
Okay.
Oh, -5 on the dice.
-5 on the dice. Wow. Okay, then I'm at -2 all in all. You know what? I think I am telling you totally the wrong things. I won't spend a fake point here. Whatever I'm telling you is pretty much blah blah. I'm nervous, right, about the whole thing. And
I'm going to create an aspect called Myths of the Masters. But the way that a fail on that works is that the chief priest gets a free invoke on it. And so you throw a lot of that stuff into the argument, Zenobia.
So I've got these advisors, right? Thorian's, telling me secrets about the priests, and Lars is telling me, stories about the masters. I'm trying to synthesize it all into a compelling pitch to get these Marmot people to change their whole way of life.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
It's a
Fair to
challenge.
say, it's a challenge. So let's see how this first stage of the contest goes, Princess. Unless Vicky's got anything else that she wants to put in the ring.
I'll bide and see how the princess does. I do.
Yeah,
have an idea.
keep your powder dry. Let's see whether we're being chased by an angry mob next.
Okay, so you are having to compete with the priest's well-rehearsed theology that the crowd knows and recognizes. So I think the difficulty is 4.
Okay.
And I think that this sounds like you're trying to win the crowd. So we agreed it was rapport was the skill you're playing with.
I think
But
that's correct.
You have a free invoke on this priest's thirst for temporal power. So let's see how it goes then.
All right.
-2 on the dice.
-2 on the dice. +1 rapport brings us to -1.
Difficulty of 4.
Difficulty
takes you
of
to -3.
-3. Okay.
Oh, yeah, 5. Right?
Wait, hang on. Is it?
You need 5 points to meet up.
Yeah. Oh, that is tricky. Can I use the free? What can I use the free invoke for? Can I invoke it for a reroll, or can I invoke?
You can invoke it for a reroll, or you could invoke it to add 2 to where you've got to.
Yeah.
And then you can invoke it again if you spend fate points on it.
Right. I'm going to use the free invoke for a reroll because let's try to set
Surely it
ourselves
can't
up
get
a little
worse
better
than
here.
-2.
This one is better actually. This
Elliot.
is 5 + 5 on the dice.
And just to explain, anyone who's listening, we're using a modified fate dice mechanic that doesn't use fate dice. Just
2d6. One of them's good. One of them's bad.
exactly. But only the player's roll. So that is +5. +1 rapport is +6. Against a difficulty of 4 is +2. You are solidly successful. Do you want to push it to success with style?
I think I do want to push it to success with style. So I had that one free invoke, and I am going to spend a fate point to bring in my aspect won't get fooled again, because as Thorian pointed out, these people are like me when I was under the illusion that a master was worth following, and now I'm trying to open their eyes that they need to wake up to the dreadful nature of Aquata and become better than the priests that have been keeping them in the dark.
Okay, so that moves you to success with style. That wins you 2 victories. The way a contest works is that the first person to achieve 3 victories succeeds in the contest.
Nice.
And a success with style, you have already got 2 in the bag. And the priest is clearly shaken by this. And there's discussion, hurried discussion. And they push forward the young priest, the youngest of the priesthood, who opens by saying, you would believe strangers rather than us? I was born, and he looks at his mother in the audience. I was born of this community. And if Aquata is free, as these people say, is that not a sign that all our ministrations have worked? And that's, I am going to invoke, whoops, Daisy, I'm going to invoke, if I can find it, there it goes. I will spend another fate point to invoke Aquata is free, but he is connecting it to his place in the community. And I am going to invoke another one I'm going to invoke his aspect, which is, I am one of you. So he's already, that puts him on +4. So the difficulty is 4 plus his rapport, which is just 1. So the difficulty is 5, Zenobia. Rock and roll.
All right, difficulty 5. And the skill will depend on how I counter this.
Exactly. Is this more winning the crowd, or are you now taking the offensive against the speaker? Or are you just going to lie to them, Zenobia? Are you just going to, and if so, how are you lying to them?
You know, that absolutely is something she's weighing, right? Because she knows she's
what
better
would your
at
father do in these circumstances?
she's better at lying to people than connecting with them.
She is her father's daughter after all.
It's true.
Victory catches her eye and shakes her head.
Always being my
The
conscience.
easy route awaits, Zenobia. You hear your father saying, all those conversations with your father. There are easy ways to achieve things, Zenobia, and there are difficult ways. I have not worked for so many years to make things difficult for you. Believe in your father, Zenobia.
Just,
You go with Vicky, or
just
do you?
keep our mission statement in mind, Zenobia. Why
Yeah,
we
so-
are here.
So she is her father's daughter, and she stole a couple of things from him, on her way out of the Ascendant Castle in the Rusted Ridge. So I'm going to use my princess stunt here. Best that money can buy.
Oh,
Once per session, I can pull out an expensive device from my bag and describe how it helps with an action or skill so that I can swap in resources for that action. So
okay.
here's, I'm sort of thinking like, yeah, I think it's like a mini like hologram projector, such that I can like pull it out and then like put forward this larger than life size vision of Aquata as we saw her, as we were breaking our way out of the prison, right? And she was like revealing her kind of fully monstrous aspects, strangling guards with her tentacles or whatever, with the hopes of kind of.
There was definitely a point in the escape when she was stroking Thorian and Lars with her tentacles.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, all I want is to be free. Yeah, so if you've got, I'm very happy for you to have a hologram recording of Zenobia, of Aquata being, self-centered, selfish,
Right.
a willingness. I don't care about these creatures.
Yeah. So just to try to give the lie to everything the young priest is saying about Aquata, confront them with an image of Aquata. So is it? I guess this is still probably at base rapport, but my stunt is letting me roll resources for it. Does that seem
absolutely
right? All right. Let's see if a like harsh dose of the truth is as effective as just lying.
Difficulty is 5.
Difficulty is 5.
Plus 3 on the dice.
Plus 3 on the dice. Plus 4 from resources.
Is 7. 7 versus 5 is success.
Yeah, and we just need the one more victory.
You just
right?
need one more victory.
Yeah, I think this was her trump card, right?
I mean, I'll tell you this: at the minute, you will win the argument, and the priests will lose their status. Success with style could see them chased out of town. I'm just saying.
How do we feel about this, guys? Do we want to push it all the way up? Go
Push
for
it
broke
all.
here.
I'd rather their followers chase them than I chase them.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That's the alternative. That's the alternative.
You have so many fate points. Use them.
Yeah. Okay. What's a good invoke here still? You know what? I think maybe can we
Master.
yeah. Could we even say that my relationship aspect is part of this too? Because I looked to Vicky and got that shake of the head that kind of pushed me to this strategy. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Spend the fate point.
I'll spend the fate point, get the +2. Vicky is the only family I have left, and even if it would be easier, I'm going to try to live up to what she's calling for me to do.
Now, Thorian, you were seminal in getting Zenobia to follow a route that said, we are not false gods. Put false gods aside. What do we see on screen as the crowd turns in favor of Zenobia and against the priesthood? Thorian?
I think there are whispers and mutters, but if they've lied to us, Aquata, I gave everything to Aquata. She would, but we are just, she has used us and they have used her. They've used both of us. Muttering and squeak, because I imagine these marmots have like little squeaky voices as well, kind of thing.
Blatant stereotype.
Yeah. And then of course, there's one with a baritone at the back going, yeah, of course, I hate this thing. And I think that's when the first, how they were picking up stones before? I think that's when the first stone gets flung onto the stage, right?
And the high priest leaps back, and the young priest looks at his mother, and his mother's saying, "I'm so ashamed." And stones being and the priests retire. They're running over the hill and disappearing into the distance. And that, I think, is where we'll take our first break. Cool. Shall we back in our seats at about 1:15? Okay. Again. We were just having a little chat offline that the exiled marmot folk of the Tundra are now grateful to the champions for having opened their eyes to the evils of the priesthood that they had previously been worshipping. And so there's an opportunity here for the champions, the 4-player characters, to maybe find out something about the Tundra or about the Cudgelord. I have added a picture of the Cudgelord to the Faces and Places tab. And there is a large cell there for you to perhaps discover some aspects about him or about the Icequake Tundra. So, Thorian.
I think I will ask the exiled marmots of the Tundra, and I will speak to them of the masters of Umdaar are not gods, they are but tyrants who wield the artifacts of the Demiurge. We seek one such artifact, the hammer of the I can never quite remember the full name, the hammer of the beasts of Umdaar.
Yeah, punchy title, I apologize.
Yeah. Tell me, in the Tundra, did you see Aquata wield this? Does she know of its true power to break other artifacts?
And I think that what they can tell you, I think I will tell you that the hammer, Aquata threatened its use.
I see.
But they can describe it to you. It is a double-handed hammer with a great metal head, but embedded in the center of that head is a glowing orange stone. And so I would describe it as a composite artifact. And I'm just going to put that into the, if I find it, there we go. I'm going to put that in.
I've already done that.
Oh, okay, right. But yeah, so it's a composite artifact. It does more than one thing, is I think that, and they know that it could draw power. but it was the threat of its use that Aquata used rather than routinely using it.
And in that sense, the threat of using it to break other artifacts, perhaps, like, you know, there's in like, I will smash your toys, Cudgelord, if you come to the Tundra, or...
No,
Okay.
because it appears that he found a way to overthrow her. So he inherited the hammer from her.
Yes, I suppose all I'm really saying is, did her threats make that property of it, that property known to others?
No.
Because it was a threat. So
No.
it's unknown whether or not anyone else knows that the hammer can be used to smash things.
Exactly so.
Okay.
That's not to say the Cudgelord doesn't know, but I don't think that the Exiled Marmots would have been gifted with that kind of insight.
It's not a thing that Aquata used to be like, you know, I can keep you safe, for any master who comes into my land will be destroyed, their artifacts broken by this dread hammer kind of thing.
Look, I mean, if you want to tease this out, I'm very happy for you to seek to create that knowledge. If you want to do that, I mean, you can always spend a fate point to create a piece of fiction.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, then I will spend a fate point to say that you know, that is how, in fact, Aquata kept her hold on this land for so long, was that most of the other dreadlords were like, you know what, I don't want to risk my shiny things taking over this Necroid's kingdom. Because
folklore is a means of control. So you invoke folklore, and so the threat Aquata had, the root of Aquata's power, was the threat of using this to destroy other artifacts. Make a note of that somewhere.
Yeah, because, you know, what's the greatest superpower of them all? Is taking away other people's superpowers, you know?
Okay. Vicky, what about you? How are you spending your kind of downtime here? I think you can all remove any stress, by the way, and I think we'll have an opportunity to recover some consequences while you're here.
So I'm here among the Marmot folk, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to spend a fate point to create a truth about the world, or maybe it's just an aspect. I don't, you can tell me whether
you know,
spend or not.
You can spend a fate point to create, to simply describe a narrative thing, as long as you can relate it to an aspect. So you invoke the aspect, and that allows you to create.
I understand that. Okay, well, in this case, I guess this is more in the creation of this is more in using one of my free aspects. Victory revealed last time that she had been a prisoner in the pit of pain. What she didn't reveal was that she was locked up at the same time that Aquata was.
Right.
Because this is where she used to be. This is her. She is in a sense returning back to her previous realm before Zenobia's family bought her insensate body away from the grandmother Goldclaw, presumably.
So you're looking to declare, you don't have to spend a fate point to do it because you have a free aspect slot sitting there. Are you wanting to declare that you have an aspect that says created in the Icequake Tundra?
Created, I don't know, but certainly, you know,
served.
once served, yes, served in the Icequake Tundra.
Okay. Let me go.
And I dare say, some of the people here may recognize me.
Oh, right. So
I'm unmistakable.
Do you want to? I mean, what do you want to do with that? How do you know? Is that something you want to involve, create a scene around?
I want it doesn't have to be here. I want to have some contact at some point in this business with someone who knew me personally.
Okay.
Or someone who's, or someone who's, whose grandmother knew me personally.
Well,
because a lot of time has passed.
I was going to say, I mean, what we're coming to here is that you've been looking after Zenobia for the thick end of 20 years.
Yes.
So you and Aquata were imprisoned at least a generation ago. So it is the older members of the community that may remember you. So describe the exiled marmot who recognizes you and maybe even approaches you, or do you approach them?
I think they approach me, and they are they're I think they're a shaman.
I think tricky. We just cast out the priesthood.
Okay, never mind then. Then they are
wise woman, like a sort of not a shaman, not a priestess, but like a kind of
collective memory.
Yeah, a healer, a healer, and teller of tales, folk.
Well, I'm going to compel. I'm going to offer a compel to you on the basis of this person. Served in the Icequake Tundra. Specifically served Aquata.
Yes.
And this old marmot comes to you and says, I know what you did. I bet your friends don't. I am offering a compel. The compel is, do you come clean about some terrible thing that you did for Aquata in the Icequake Tundra? Or do you bribe her with a fate point to shut up and go away?
No, I'll take the compel.
Have a fate point?
I did.
Well, have a fate point.
Yep.
And then who do you tell? Do you tell Zenobia or do you tell all the champions?
I'll tell everyone.
Fine. Let's have that scene. There is food being shared around a fire. And in the pause in the conversation.
Before we go any further, there is something that I have to say.
What is it, Vicky?
I never expected to come back here.
Back here?
Yes.
So when you talked about before, that was here, or that was Tundra.
That was in the court of Aquata here as a scout in her army.
Okay. That is odd, but okay.
And suddenly, Lars, you think back to getting Aquata out of the pit, and now you remember that after as she walked away into the desert, leaving you lot, she looked back, and you thought then she was just looking back at all three of you, but now she looked at Vicky. There was an exchange of.
Would have been nice to know before, but I guess I understand why you didn't tell us.
What were your crimes, Victoria?
It's hard to list them all, actually. I served a cruel mistress. I believed her to be worthy at the time. And I did not discover that she wasn't until her downfall.
Zenobia.
The worst, you asked me the worst thing I did?
Oh, yes, do. Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to, it's okay. It's okay, Vicky.
Zenobia, I would like to offer a compel.
Oh, compel to me.
Won't get fooled again. Vicky claims to be your friend and protector. How come you're only finding this out now? The compel is you're pissed at Vicky. You want to take the compel or do you want to buy it off?
Can I hear the culmination of this confession and then make that decision on that?
Fine.
Yeah, because I think Zenobia kind of like stammering, minimizing reaction is her first reaction, but I'm happy to entertain which way she falls on this compel after we get Vicky's revelation here.
Vicky, what's the worst thing that you did?
The worst thing I did was there was an armed rebellion against Aquata's rule, and she put it down brutally. And
she put it down brutally? What's the worst thing you did, Vicky?
Burn a village to the ground. Scatter its inhabitants. Drive them out into the tundra.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting flashbacks of Anakin Skywalker here.
I have no, I can't offer any soothing explanation for this.
No, you can't.
Save that I was built to serve, literally. I have to serve. I served your father loyally, out of and devotedly.
Yeah, and you knew what he was before I did, didn't you? And you never told me about that, just like you never.
How could I come between you?
About Aquata.
How can I come between you and your father?
You.
How could I be the instigator?
You thought you were protecting me from all this darkness, but you were just keeping me blind.
I had to find out whether I could. If I told you what to do, then I would never know whether you could make that decision on your own.
Back there, I kept listening to you. I kept second guessing myself, thinking you were leading me right.
And you may not remember it thus, but I forbore always from making decisions for you. Sure. Tell yourself that. And she puts her bowl down and stalks away from the table,
taking her fate point with her.
Yes.
Lars, do you want to get involved in this in any way, or do you want to go somewhere else with this?
No, I would turn to Vicky and say, well, giving someone information can be a really bad thing if it's the wrong kind of information. But I think Zenobia would have deserved to know a bit more about the person who she was with.
I have never concealed from her the fact that I have lived what would be for anyone else several lifetimes.
Okay.
I have not. I've told her a few stories of those, but how do you know when to tell someone awful things about yourself. I certainly could never have done it when she was younger.
But she
Should
could.
was there a point where I should sit down and say, you know, I'm an awful person, really?
No,
Can you say that you could have done something like that?
I don't know. I mean, I could shut up about important stuff. So, but you could have told her or about her father, and I think that's why she's mad at you, because you knew that her father was a bad person. You never even I don't know, give her the option to know that, because then she could have made an informed choice. Because if
It would have.
you hide stuff from people, that is, you are making the choice for them. I'm just saying that's what I think. But I'm not the best at this.
No, I understand what you're saying. I couldn't, the way I am, I could not be the one to instigate the rift between my master and his own daughter.
But not just you're saying that you couldn't go against his interests? Or is that what you're saying? Is that what you can't do?
I couldn't take it upon myself to decide what those interests were. No.
Huh. So
I'm not.
I think what Victory is trying to say, Lars, is that she is what her masters made her.
That's what I'm worried about.
I am many things. I am strong, I am loyal, I am diligent, and I've saved her life already more than once.
And I think Thorian's going to say that Victory, I look forward to seeing what you will make of yourself now. And what we will make of Umdaar together.
I want her to be worthy so badly. Zenobia. I'm because I have to serve. And I don't know if she's ready to be served.
I think that's a scene, to be honest, because I think there's lots going on there. I think I'm inclined to award a fate point to Lars for a retrospective compel there around right the wrongs that I supported for too long. It seems to me that that's what you were picking at there.
Yeah.
And I'm inclined to do the same for Thorian around only empathy can overcome entropy. Because what Thorian seems to be saying there to Vicky is, you know, you need to sort out where you stand in stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Thorian's definitely trying to compel that I was created to serve into and I will serve the people of Umdaar, you know, like a greater cause than any one master or anything like that. So yeah, so is that a compel, did you say?
Well, I think that you are asking Vicky to be more empathic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and to believe that what she feels is as important as what she thinks she's programmed to do.
Yes, because she certainly feels these things, right? So yeah. So do I get a fate point for that?
You get a fate point for that.
Thank you. Nice.
We've had that. So Lars, let me come to you finally, because again, you know, part of this was about trying to find out some stuff about what might lie ahead. And we've had a kind of bit of flavoring about that, but I want to give you a chance to actually do a bit of digging if that's what you want, because you are, after all, intensely curious about knowledge and law.
I am, absolutely. I will try to find someone who I can talk to, right?
Well, apparently there's an old female marmot who has a very long memory.
Oh, no. Old female marmots remind me of my grandmother. I want a young male marmot, please.
Okay.
No.
It's much cuter than your grandmother.
Yes, but still. I shy away, I think, more from the older members, but try to find someone young and impressionable like me, basically, because I know I talk too much about stuff, so I could find someone like me.
Fine.
Who also talks too much about stuff.
Fine.
And I'm wondering about the Cudgelord himself. what's known about him. He chased out Aquata, but he's as bad. Who is he? Did he just drop off from the sky, fall from a tree? Is he a human person? Is he a marmot? Is he I don't know, a Rad-Folk? What is he?
Okay. I think this is really trying to get them to help you fill in some gaps with lore.
Yeah.
I don't think this is difficult. It depends exactly what you want to do with it. Do you want to reveal an aspect of the Cudgelord, or do you just want some narrative stuff?
I'd like to reveal an aspect, but I also want to have some narrative stuff.
Yeah, I can wrap the narrative up. I just need to know where I'm aiming mechanically.
Yeah, okay. I would like to reveal or discover an aspect of the Cudgelords, if that's possible. That would be nice.
Fine. So I think you're trying to create an advantage with lore. I think because you were dealing with people here who at least were exiled by the Cudgelord, so they're not in a perfect position, but I think that they're in a solid position. I think difficulty is 2. So difficulty 2, create an advantage using lore. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I've done it.
Success.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 shift over, so yay.
So let me think. Which shall I reveal? Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 really, in the sense that you have a picture of him, and he didn't just drop from the skies. He emerged from even further north than the icequake tundra. He emerged leading a motley group of warriors. Where they arose from, I don't think the Marmots would be in a position to know.
Okay, that's fair.
But he was peculiarly persuasive, or maybe threatening. There's something about him, some charisma, some gravitas, that a lot of people that had previously served Aquata simply flocked to him.
Okay. So he's persuasive.
He's certainly, there's something about him. I'm not sure it's about his kind of animal magnetism, maybe. But I think that the aspect that I'll give you is hungry for more.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah, so the Cudgelord is hungry for more. I'm going to pop that, or Will is probably already putting that in the Faces and Places tab. That is an aspect, and you have a free invoke on it. He wants to expand south. I think there's no question about that.
Okay.
And I think that the issue that you and the rest of Umdaar face is that as we get closer to winter, the ice that separates the icequake tundra, it's not called the icequake for nothing, and these more fertile lands, and maybe that mountain range behind me, as winter approaches, it will be easier for him to come south. So Will, if you want to put the raiding season draws nigh, as a kind of, the clock is ticking on you here. The risk is that when winter is coming up, when winter arrives, he and his minions could sweep out of the north.
Is that an aspect as well? Or?
I don't think it is. I think it's an issue that you need to be aware of.
Cool.
And it kind of ties into your urge to protect Umdaar, perhaps. So I think that's what you can get, Lars.
Cool.
Zenobia, is there any kind of conversation, or is there someone you want to seek out, or are you just, just fuming?
I think we get a shot of Zenobia having stalked off to just be kicking some of the fallen stones that were meant to be the big statue of Aquata, right? And just kind of muttering to herself, about her disappointment with Vicky and her sense of kind of unmooredness in the world.
Fine. Thorian, last scene at the settlement to you then. Is there anything you want to do?
No, I think we've discovered something about the hammer and the Cudgelord, having these warriors that took over Aquata's things. I'm wondering, the Marmot folk were exiled out, and we know that some people of Aquata's reign was still left behind and converted, basically, right? So I'm trying to think, does that suggest to anybody how we could infiltrate the ice quake lands?
That's what I was wondering. I mean, you have one more scene, I think. No, two, actually. We have two scenes left for the journey, because we had Thorian the cliff, we had Lars this settlement, we have Zenobia and Victory's kind of travel scene left.
Yeah.
So I am beginning to wonder whether I'm going to get it all in, but we'll do our best.
Yeah. I suppose I would ask the Marmot folk on when they were exiled, when they fled the icequake lands, did they perhaps use a secret passage through the ice?
Let's have you see if you can extract something from them. Rapport, or are you milking their lore?
I think it is I think it's a lore more than anything else, because I think it is all about the the icequake land itself, and like its history and its geography, the uniqueness of its geography.
Fine.
I'm imagining maybe like Wampa caves,
Well,
who knows, you know what I mean? Like,
let's see what they can tell.
Yeah. No, just because like I'd love to fight a Wampa.
So that's 2 on the dice. What's your lore?
2, 5.
Sorry, 2, 5.
No, I mean, as in it's 3 + 2, 5.
Oh, okay.
1 on the dice. Sorry.
Okay, so that is success with style.
Mm-hmm.
So you get, I'll either give you 2 invokes on one aspect, or I'll give you 2 aspects on the Icequake Tundra.
Give me 2 aspects.
Okay. One of them is fairly self-evident, dangerous ground.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that gives you a chance to invoke it to avoid. And the other one is the Great Chasm. There is, snaking into the tundra, a great crack in the ice that might provide you with a way to get deeper into the tundra, conceivably without having to walk the surface.
Nice. And I have added those to the Cudgelord of the Icequake Tundra box, and I have bolded each of the aspects that we've revealed to know.
Fine.
Those are our aspects.
Fine. So let me go then to Vicky. We've left the Marmot folk away behind us. Vicky, do you want to set a scene for this travel montage that this episode is becoming?
I think it makes sense, especially in regards to Victoria's recent reveal, that she knows that she knows a good concealed way in, and it's probably along this crack.
You're not at the Icequake Tundra yet.
Okay.
I'm wanting a scene for the travel to get there.
So
for instance, maybe you know a pass through those mountains.
I think so. I mean, this is, I ranged across this whole area, and it was my job to know all the shortcuts, in order to get messages back and forth as quickly as possible.
Okay, so as you can see, that is quite some mountain, and
yes,
the pass that Vicky knows is going to make transiting those mountains slightly easier, but they still constitute a hazard. They are a hazard. I'm going to make them a +3 hazard, which is to say that they are something that can do you harm. So Vicky, you are in the lead. What do we see you doing to make sure that people get across here as safely as possible?
I say, walk where the zebra steps.
Okay, let's have you create an
'cause-
advantage with your ride drive.
Because it's like it'll support the weight of the animal, it'll support your weight, and the zebra knows instinctively where to put its feet so that it doesn't fall.
Fine. So I think difficulty is the hazard 3.
And I got a 4.
So that is success.
I get a success.
Fine. So we have an aspect called the footsteps of the zebra with 1 free invoke. Who's bringing up the rear?
That's me.
Oh no, let me do that because I can catch you if you fall. I control gravity. I can control gravity, so.
I think I'm hanging pretty far back from Vicky right at this moment.
So
but
do I. Yeah, I think that maybe
if Lars wants to take the rear, I'm
I'm fine with you hanging.
No, if she falls, there may be rescuing involved. It should be very appropriate.
Thorian, that puts you behind Vicky, first in the footsteps of the zebra. What do we see you doing? How are you approaching this hazard?
I think with careful grace, because he's quite a nimble, poised figure, Thorian. And I think that, each step is, the slipperiness of the ice and the whatever, right? But it's placed just perfectly so to maybe like step in each of those hoof marks left behind by the Zhevra, which provides some sort of traction upon an otherwise treacherous surface.
Fine. That sounds like athletics versus a difficulty of 3.
I mean, when you have a +4 in something, you should try and
succeed.
use it a lot of the time. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I think that's a +1 on the dice now.
That is +1 on the dice. 5 versus 3 is success by 2, and
so
not
3.
a problem.
Yeah.
You overcome it without problem.
Overcome it without problem. I'll settle for that, I guess. Who's behind me, actually?
Behind you are Lars and Zenobia.
Lars and Zenobia. I would like, because if I succeed with style, I could create a free aspect for people and invoke an aspect for an advantage for people, right? Like
To overcoming, you'd get a boost.
I'd get a boost that anyone could use, though. Is that right? Yeah. Then I would like to spend a fate point to invoke I do not judge Lars for his misplaced trust, because I am taking careful note to point out to Lars, and everybody else can hear it as well, of course, but to be like, Lars, be careful, the foot.
Okay.
Please watch where the Zhevra steps, Lars. It is the traction.
You have no weight, Thorian. I do not need to step where the Zhevra steps. I can just walk on the ice, please.
If you have no weight, then how are you moving anywhere?
Anyway, the boost exists.
Yeah, the boost exists. Yeah.
So let's go to Zenobia then. Zenobia, how do we see you confronting this hazard, given what we've got narratively so far?
Yeah. So it's ice and stone. What's
well, the description I seem to have here is that we're seeing the Zhevra stepping into the snow.
Okay.
And from Thorian's description, underneath that snow is ice. So we have ice and snow, and the risk of an avalanche.
And we are supposed to follow in the steps of the zebra.
Let's just add on a little bit of driving wind and snow flurries.
Great. So I'm clutching my hooded cloak around me. It is fur lined now, though, right? Which it wasn't before. It's like she somehow has a supply of extra cloaks and has switched to one that's more winterized.
Of course. Always
but
perfectly equipped for the conditions.
Oh yeah. But yeah, just with icy composure, but not a lot of Ver. She is following along, trying to avoid overbalancing or anything. So
Hazard is difficulty 3. Athletics.
I guess it's athletics. Okay, great.
But there is a free invoke on the
Yeah.
footsteps of the Zhevra.
Might have to use that. So difficulty 3, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can take that free invoke and get to a tie.
You can take and get to a tie. The good news on a tie is succeed at a minor cost. But you also have, there is in play a boost from Thorian, albeit the boost was aimed at Lars. So that would give you another +2.
But I think that the boost was just because I invoked the thing, but I think the boost is more like follow in my footsteps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, do what I do.
No one can do what Thorian does.
So
Lars,
that would turn the tie into a success.
Lars, do you want the boost hanging around for you, or is it okay if I take
It's
it?
fine. Use the boost. Use the
Okay.
boost.
Lars
then-
seemed absolutely, oh, stop nagging at me, Thorian.
I'll take the boost. There's some moment where misplaced foot would have spelled calamity because of some teetering, boulder overhead, but Thorian's clear kind of beacon, right? This kind of glowing skull right ahead helps me keep my footing.
And it seems somehow easier to follow Thorian's advice than it does to follow Vicky's advice. So it doesn't feel like you're following Vicky's advice, the footsteps of the Zhevra, even though you are getting the benefit.
It's
Right.
it's very important that between me and the Zhevra is Thorian walking the same path.
Exactly. I didn't hear what Vicky said. What did you say, Thorian? Lars, bringing up the rear. Athletics, or are you actually going to, try and overcome this using your gravity lifts?
I will use gravity lifts, and I will kind of bob around just because there's this harsh wind. I need to get to the ground, but I think I will use magic right now, because climbing up that rope, that was not, I did it, but nobody said good, well done or anything. Of course not. Why am I even doing this? You can use magic. It's kind of like, I don't need to punish myself here because I might get others in trouble. So
Okay.
I will just, and also it's fucking cold and I hate it, and I'm irritable like hell.
Fine. Let's have you do that thing then.
Okay.
And so crafts shape gravity to actually move you forward over the ground.
Yep.
Difficulty is 3.
Okay. Let's go.
-1 on the dice, 4 with crafts. That's 3 versus 3. That's a tie.
Is there an interesting concept, an interesting cost, or
I
in
think
mind?
a hazard can do you harm. So I am thinking of harm, I have to say.
Oh,
rather than
okay.
else.
I think I will spend a fate point because or maybe no, I won't spend a fate point. Thorian was right. I should have watched my step like that.
Yeah. And what your use of gravity to propel yourself over the surface here, what does that cause that leads you to taking some stress?
As Zenobia described there, I maybe overlooked these hanging rocks because I'm pulling gravity, which is fine, but not if it also pulls down one of these rocks.
Yeah.
And that's I get hit by one of them.
No, I like that. I think your gravity, some of the ice is cracking that was holding these rocks in place, and finally you get a kind of slide of small rocks, and the hazard is 3, so I'm going to inflict 3 stress on you.
Lars, watch out! Too late.
It's cold. And he's struggling because of course he got the stuff in his, you know what I mean, right?
Back of his collar. Yeah. Okay, we are a minute past the hour. I'm going to suggest that we take a break now. Back just after 5. Is 4 minutes long enough? Yeah. back just after 5 minutes past the hour? Fine. Okay, we've got about 50 minutes to play. So for this session, so I am going to cut, I think, to the Icequake Tundra behind me. So you've made it over that pass. Vicky's guidance has helped you over that pass, and laid out ahead of you is this kind of tundra is the wrong word. I think this is an icescape. This is an Arctic or Antarctic, so you know sheets of ice are buckled up or thrust down. But from the mountains, as you make your way down from the far side of the pass, you can see that great chasm snaking through the terrain. Equally, you can see, I think, a cloud of smoke rising on the horizon, presumably some kind of encampment or other. But we know that the terrain here is dangerous. We know that until winter comes, this terrain is a hazard when you cross it. So I will go to Vicky first, I think, because you know this land. There's a settlement in the distance on the horizon. Is that your objective? And if so, what do we see, Vicky?
At this point in the episode, I think that's going to be our objective. And it is a town built around a stronghold. The town itself is typical buildings that you might see in a very cold weather climate, but some features of the stronghold are very unusual. The first is that it is...
Well, now, just be careful here. Are you spending a fate point to declare these in relation to your served in the Icequake Tundra? Or are you seeking to create an advantage, an aspect to do with the town or the settlement?
I was just describing.
And I'll be honest with you, I'd like to hold off on the description till you're a bit closer. I'm interested how you're going to get there.
Okay, well, perhaps you'll give me what we see is we see a spire.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with that.
You know, it is an obvious landmark somewhere in the middle of town.
Yes. I'm just, we can find plenty of Ice Queen tropes to work that one on. Okay, so do you go across this kind of broken terrain, or are you aiming, Vicky, to approach through the chasm? What's your advice? And then, of course, the question is whether Zenobia will follow it.
The chasm is dangerous, but if we approach across the surface, we will be seen. Unless the Cudgelord is very different from every other ruler of this place, they are paranoid, and there are good vantage points where observers are posted. With to spot interlopers before they can do very much. We need to travel to the surface.
So it looks like you are going to try and use stealth to approach using the chasm as the principal form of access, unless anyone is going to speak against that. Okay, not even Zenobia thinks it's sensible to go across over the surface. So I'm seeing...
It's beneath her dignity to have to, defy everything Vicky says. She's just, not putting on a big smile about it or anything.
Unless you think otherwise, Princess.
No, go ahead.
So, cut to deep in this blue lit, deep, icy crevasse. Is Vicky taking the lead? Because now we begin to realize why the Zhevra works, because the Zhevra kind of can, you know, dig those horny hooves into the ice. So is Vicky taking the lead for this stealthy approach?
Vicky, do you think it would help if we were cloaked by shadows? I can do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't. If we run into anything down here, it is likely to be suddenly and at close range. And so anything that conceals us, even for a moment, might be critical.
I mean, this is a steep chasm, right? So it's got to be like plunging into shadow. So if Lars can, like, you know, deepen those shadows around us.
Unquestionably, I'm simply saying that the twists and turns here don't provide a lot of, you know, a lot of chance to hide if we should happen upon somebody else. So
that's why shadows are a good thing. I will
So
try to
Lars,
create an advantage.
craft these shadows.
And is this another scene, or do I still have this?
No, I think the stress. I think we've cleared stress. I think you're fine.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, I think difficulty here. I think difficulty is only 2, as Thorian has described. This is a deep cavern that you've made your way down into, and you're working your way through. So plenty of shadow to work with, albeit blue tinged.
It's a -3 on the roll, so I'd have to spend a fate point anyway. I think I'll spend that. Well, I spend it on a reroll for the Remorseful Runesmith.
Difficulty's only 2, just for reference, but spend the fate point and re-roll the runesmithing.
I just want to have a good roll. Maybe it's a +1. Okay, so I'm at 5, and it's 3 over.
So success with style, create an advantage, cloaked in shadows, 2 free invokes.
Yes. Can we call it shrouded by shadows? Because I love that word.
I think I'm going to go to Thorian, because Thorian, your kind of sensitivity to minds. I'd like you to roll notice, please, against a difficulty of 3.
Okay. That is a tie in the dice. I have a +2 in notice, so I'm at a -1 currently, I believe.
You are.
And I will invoke We Are Energy and So Are Our Thoughts to, you know, invoke my psychic abilities, I suppose.
Yes, that's why I've come to you, because I think there is something, you can sense something, but it feels like an absence of thought rather than thought. It's almost as though you can sense a shell of a mind. But there's nothing inside it.
It's like a hollow vessel kind of thing. Yeah. Something is strange. A mind, but not a mind. Be wary. Do I sense where it's coming from with
A head.
A head. Okay. So we are all
and
on guard.
Slightly above.
Yeah, I go, it's ahead and above.
A mind, but not a mind? Doesn't sound good.
Be wary, my friends.
Lars, I think that because you are shaping the shadows here to create a stealthy approach, I think it's good I come to you for a roll of stealth.
Okay. Yeah.
Difficulty, I think difficulty is 3.
Yeah, okay.
Because we know that there's something watching or waiting.
Okay, I've rolled -1. I've got a 2, so I'm 1. I will invoke one of the free
invokes on the shadows.
Yes. So we're at 3. That ties us.
That does. The tie on this is going to be a tough narrative spot. I think that someone is going to be surprised by whatever's up ahead, and I will roll randomly to determine who.
Ooh. Yeah, I think I like that. Let put us in a tough narrative spot. That is
Yeah.
We love this.
And it is going to be Thorian, because I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4 anti-clockwise around my screen. So Thorian is going to be the person who's going to be caught by surprise. And I think we'll start with that. Thorian, take 2 harm as arrows thud into your body. 2 stress, physical stress. Thunk, thunk, from up above. Clearly, Thorian's the target here because despite the way you've shaped the shadows, he glows in the dark.
So we're under ranged attack.
A ranged attack thuds into Thorian, but the rest of you become aware of that, and you can see what look to be male warriors dressed in mail with helmets.
I think because I did sense something, right?
You did.
Look at and the arrow is whistling, and the camera follows the arrow as it whistles straight for my head, and then Thorian goes and it pierces straight through his hand instead, and it just stops there. We are under attack.
I'm going to go to Vicky first because Vicky is the ever watchful.
Oh, can I do something with her first? Because I have a stunt called improvised projectile. I would like to tear this arrow out of my hand and throw it back.
I'm going to let you do that next because
Okay.
I think you were the person put in that difficult spot here, so I'm going to leave you in that spot for a moment. Vicky, you are the Watchful Mutawarrior. What do you do?
The threat's all up.
Certainly, that's what you've seen so far.
Up out of reach. Well, I'm going to see if I can.
Alan, are they on the ceiling?
No, they're not. They're on a ledge.
Okay, so we're in a crevasse, and there are mail-clad warriors on a ledge firing down at us. Cool.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
Vicky, what do you do?
How they're on an ice ledge.
Yep.
How durable is this ice ledge look?
Let's have you investigate. So let's have you assess the scene. Let's have you roll to investigate. I think you know the terrain, so I'm going to say the difficulty is 3. Investigate away.
I got a 0 on the dice.
Investigate.
And I don't have any investigate.
So -3 is you're sitting on at the moment, which is there's going to be a major narrative cost. Or you can succeed and take stress for your trouble.
I'll take the stress because I think I'm going to be caught in what's about to happen, or maybe shot.
Okay. 3 stress. It is secure, but your approach is going to be leave you exposed, and you're going to take. Do you ride the Zhevra up that way, or are you looking to jump up there, or what?
I was actually going to see if I could undercut the ice ledge.
Oh, I see. Okay, then fine. The cost to you is that as you survey the scene, thunk, 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 arrows come towards you, take 3 stress, physical stress. Right. Zenobia, your friend, Vicky, or is it former friend, is taking incoming fire. What are you going to do?
He's not my friend. Vicky's the last thing that I have left that's like family. And when your family's in danger, it doesn't matter if you're mad at them. You have to help them. I charge forward. I say, what do I say? You ignorant grunts. You don't know who you have messed with. Taste the moon steel of the Ascendant Castle. As I call out the name of my magical daggers and start flinging them.
I love this. Okay, let's have you shoot, I suppose, with your daggers.
Oh yeah.
You know,
This is the first time we have seen Zenobia do violence.
exactly. She is mixing it up. I want to see all the detail.
And this is something, in fact, she is good at. So like, suddenly, her hands are moving quite fast, and these, proliferating throwing daggers are flying out towards our enemies.
Fine.
So
let us have you roll. The difficulty is 3 because they're not in a, they're not in a great place. They're armored, all the rest. So it's +1 on the dice.
Yeah, sure.
Shoot is
my shoot is +3.
so you're on +1
with my magical daggers stunt. I get +2, so that is a total of I mean +6 against the difficulty of 3, so that's 3 over the difficulty.
Do you want to focus those daggers on one of them, or do you want to spread the pain?
Yeah, everybody gets a taste. How many of them are there? I guess
there are 3. There are 3 archers up. Sorry, there are 3 archers up there.
Cool. Yeah. Everybody gets a dagger.
Everyone gets a dagger. Okay.
You get a dagger.
2 of them. No, all of them get a dagger. One of them topples from the ledge.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, when they hit the ground, the armor shatters as if there's something in there, but it's not a kind of solid body. Okay. Lars. Oh no, let me come to Thorian because he wants to use that stunt, but he doesn't have a chance to do very often. So improvise me a missile if you want to.
The missile that just hit me is going to go straight back at them in true D&D monk style, yeah, but just with slightly more radioactive blood on the end. I think now.
Okay.
So I may spend a fate point or an invoke to toss the object using fight instead of shoot. We don't have any. Can I use the invoke of Shrouded by Shadows just because it's not been used? Because it provides me with some cover from them.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Just try and use it rather than leave it empty.
Okay.
So I will then roll with my fight, which is +3. So what's my difficulty, Alan?
Sorry, difficulty is 3, same as Zenobia's.
Cool. That is a tie.
Tie on the dice.
Yeah. So that
Plus...
is no, I mean it's tied totally because I have a
tied.
I
see. Yeah.
So that's success at a cost, right?
That is success at a cost. No, sorry, with an attack, defend, dodge, attacker gets a boost. So you get a boost out of it.
I get a boost out of it. Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't inflict any damage on it.
No, you don't.
Does how do we say defend works again?
You just include it in the description. So arrows are incoming.
Okay, well, I mean, I run up the, I shrouded in shadows as the arrows stood in, and then I come vaulting out of the shadows, leaping, bouncing off one wall of the chasm as I flip and throw the dart up. So does that mean I get to include my athletics in this as well?
Oh no, sorry, no, you've got one skill.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering because
a defensive stunt would apply.
A defensive stunt. So the defensive skills are essentially not really a part of this system now. Because athletics is a defensive skill. We just don't really roll any kind of attacks.
It's a dodge. I mean, you could have rolled with dodge instead of with fight, but you wanted to use the missile.
Yeah. But then I wouldn't be inflicting harm.
No, exactly.
Dodging. Yeah, but then I'm not. doing anything. Yeah, okay.
You could be creating. You could be creating an
I
advantage.
could have created
Yes.
advantage. Okay, don't worry about it. Then I will invoke Warrior-Scholar of the Rad-Folk.
Fine, to get into positive territory.
Yes, exactly.
And is that +2 harm then?
That is +2 harm. Yes.
Spread it about or concentrate it?
I
suppose you've
think
only got the one missile.
I've only got the one missile. Yeah, so I think it's going to go straight back at the warrior who is restringing his crossbow, right? Like the one that, or the arrow or whatever it is that he fired at me. And
Fine.
I'd like that 2 harm to go straight back through said hand that fired said crossbow. You know?
And he tumbles off the ledge. So there's one archer left on the ledge, and again tumbles off, and the male just kind of crumples when it impacts. Lars, what about you?
I imagine that since we are in an ice quake tundra, we have shards of ice lying about.
You
Right.
certainly could have, yes.
Yes, then I would like to take these shards, use the power of gravity, and shoot these shards at these guys who are shooting arrows at my friend Thorian there. I don't know.
I am
Not
going
shooting.
to spend a fate point to invoke dangerous ground. So you need to be a little bit choosy about which bits of ice you're pulling here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But the difficulty is only 2 because there's only one archer left up there. So difficulty is 2, but I'm increasing that to 4 by invoking the dangerous ground.
Cool. I'm rolling. Okay, so it's a tie. So it's a tie all over. So I will spend a fate point for Thorian, because I inadvertently led his people his doom, and now he glowed out of my shadow, and it's my fault totally. And I'm so sorry. So I've got 2, and
That does 2 harm to the remaining archer, I think, because that takes you to +2, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does that take him out?
It does. He
Good.
tumbles
Okay.
again and falls on his fellows with a crunch and a crack and a thud.
Hey, can I compel Lars's aspect, intensely curious about knowledge and lore, to say Lars needs to pour over these like broken husks of enemies to find out why it was that the now seemingly empty armor was fighting us?
I think that's a very sensible way to give Lars a fate point.
Yeah, a fair compel, which I will reject. I will give you a fate point, my last one, because I know Thorian was hurt. I want to go over to Thorian and see how he's doing, because yes, I really want to pour over this. No, but Thorian is more important, right?
So we get like a moment of Lars kind of torn between them. Great.
Yes, but you get.
So Zenobia,
maybe it's the glowing blood on the ice that makes you stop and turn around, right? As it trails back to Thorian, who's like.
I know. I saw that you got hurt, and I
know, but like just in that moment.
You're right. I saw the glowing blood, and oh gosh, no.
Zenobia, Lars is busy binding up Thorian's wound, or looking to Thorian.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Zenobia, are you interested? And do you in fact need to recover your Moonstill daggers? I mean, are they an unusable resource, or is the thing about them that every time you just flick your wrist with one, a dagger zooms away?
So after I've spent them, I snap my fingers and they reappear in my bandolier of daggers.
Fine. Then I have no compel to throw at you to get you to go and examine the bodies, but I'm curious whether you are interested in doing so anyway.
I will go and poke at them, because I do want to know why these things were attacking us, and especially what was making them do that if they're now seemingly mere empty icy shells.
What's apparent when you get to them is that they're not entirely empty. When you poke them, the male, they had the shape of people, and now they look like they have the shape of suits of mail filled with looser things. You're going to have to take a helmet off or open their clothing. Zenobia.
I pull off the helmet to see what's inside.
The shriveled, shrunken, desiccated head, cracked, of an ordinary Umdarian. Not necessarily human, but certainly corporeal. But they look like they're almost the way that you might expect something almost preserved in ice. But relatively fragile. And you can see, you know, when you take the helmet off, the head comes away with it, drops out.
Yeah, that's great.
And you can look into the suit and you can see that inside there is a desiccated corpse that was motile, flexible, but when it fell, it just cracked and shattered, bone and dried skin.
Thorian is a
well, hang on.
I just wanted to say,
oh,
I just wanted to, like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just
Okay.
going to comment as you know, these Zenobias. I'm just saying, a mind without a mind.
I think they're husks. I've heard about them. Never saw one before.
I am very happy to grant you an aspect, the husks of Umdarians.
Are these?
And this is a scene
quarter?
aspect.
I think that this is probably a scene aspect that you're going to encounter again and again. It's the nature of some of these defenders of the Cudgelord.
Are they aquatas? Because they look like they're dead.
Aye,
And she's a necroid.
That's
right?
an interesting question, Lars. Would you like to try lore or investigate?
Lore. I mean, investigate. I always wanted to figure out how to do that.
Okay.
I mean, I have a +1, but it's not a lot. So yeah, lore.
Difficulty,
lore.
I think, I'm going to go with 2.
Okay. And I've rolled a 1, so I'm at a 4. So yep, lore me away.
Then I think I will give you the aspect, the more precise aspect that's going to be in play here and hereabouts. And that is the necroid servants of Aquata.
Okay.
Necroid former servants of Aquata, technically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit clumsy, but you know, you get. I might manage something a bit smoother by next time. So yeah, it appears that there are necroids supporting the Cudgelord or defending approaches to the Cudgelord.
And I look at Victory, Vicky. Would they still recognize? They recognize you as one of theirs? Maybe. I mean,
I don't know. From my understanding, these things have only enough spirit to understand simple instructions.
Oh, okay.
They're not really people anymore. But they can do things such as wait in ambush and try to kill anyone who passes.
Once heard about a wizard, a runesmith who could kind of take over other wizards' magic. That I would love to do that, but I can't. I'm not that. I haven't learned that. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Well, after seeing these necroids, I have to say I'm more impressed by how well preserved Aquata was.
She's very old, but she has magic to keep herself from decaying,
cracking into a million pieces like this guy, right? She
yes, these are
kicks the fallen necroid again.
She would have been dead and gone quite a long time ago, except that she knows she is capable of maintaining herself indefinitely in her state. So I understand.
I've added a picture of a necroid guardian to called a husk to the faces and places.
Nice.
So look, I mean, I'm just looking at the time. I'm thinking about where we're going with this. I'm beginning to think that this is infiltration being done. Yeah. I think the question becomes now that the game sets out to say, here are some stages to go through if you want to overthrow a master. I think the question that I have to ask you is whether the overthrow of the Cudgelord is still on the table, or whether this is about stealing the cudgel, so to speak.
I mean, how's he going to stay Cudgelord if he doesn't have a cudgel, right? Like,
Okay.
we don't have to overthrow him as long as we take the cudgel and then he's
Let
easy
nature take
pickings.
its course.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, he could fake up a cudgel, but
No,
would
but
probably not last
everyone would know.
very long.
I won't be here, so I won't.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Because I do want to try to reserve the final session for having a crack at Gallowglass, because I think that there's a kind of
I appreciate
arc
it.
in that. Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
So what I'm thinking of,
Shall we say that that arrow through Thorian's hand was quite nasty, in fact. I know it was only 2 physical stress, but perhaps that is why Thorian won't be with you for the next session, is because he is badly injured. And it is not so much, maybe it's not even just so much the injury, so much as he is now a danger to others because he is leaking radiation quite badly from that wound.
I like
very
that.
cool.
Leaking
That's
a
very
little
cool.
leaking a little glowing trail, that
Yeah.
people could use to follow us if he doesn't hide.
Yeah, I will wait for you in the chasm, my friends.
So look, I think then we're at stars and wishes for this session.
Yeah.
And we will leave this episode with you, looking down the chasm where you can see there's a structure that would allow you to climb out of the chasm into the middle of the settlement that Vicky will describe when we get there. Does that seem a reasonable place to finish and then start?
Sure.
Okay, let's do a swift, relax stars and wishes, given we've got about 10 minutes or so. So I will go, just for a change, right to left. So Alexi, any stars, any wishes for next time?
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. This was a lot of fun. Definitely stars all around. I really appreciated that folks kind of both entertained and pushed back on what I was doing when I was having Zenobia do in the Marmot village, right? Kind of engaging in this religious debate, and both that folks were willing to back Zenobia up to have this type of confrontation, but also called her out and asked to not deceive the Marmots, but share the whole truth with them, because that was a really fun dynamic overall, and I enjoyed the inter-party tactical discussion there. There was also sort of a moral and philosophical debate. Big star for that, and star for undead husks attacking us, because that's always fun and cool to get to see some fighting. Also, Alan, so huge stars there.
I was so pleased that Zenobia took the initiative. Then I was hoping that we were going to see the character that hasn't done that kind of physical stuff get stuck in. So
I've got a bunch of points in the chute. I've got these magic daggers. I gotta throw them at somebody.
Exactly.
My wish is, I guess, I have one more stunt I haven't used, which is Indomitable. So yeah, just flagging that as far as provoke attacks related to intimidation and fear as something I'm interested in seeing Zenobia confronted by and hopefully overcoming. But that'd be cool to use that stunt. Definitely kind of intrigued by the idea of taking the next session to steal this hammer and hopefully bringing it to bear in a go at Gully and Gallowglass in the finale. But we'll see how it all unfolds.
Fine. Brandon, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, I thought that I really liked this session. I enjoyed everyone's characterization, but I think the best part was the dreadful row with Zenobia, because it is it's so appropriate to this kind of story. That she is growing up, and one of the things about growing up is you find out things that you didn't want to know, and that that victory should have that, and that should complicate their relationship. I thought was great. I too like the fact that everybody fought in the last thing except for Vicky. So she did all the heavy fighting before. I was happy to showcase everybody else in taking out these Husks.
Yeah, brave choice to investigate.
Well, I just realized it's like, this is a perfect excuse, as to why, Vicky isn't, is taken aback and not acting instantly as she otherwise might do.
Any wishes for next time?
Yes, two things. I too have a fun stunt that I haven't gotten to use, so it'd be nice to use it, which is inhumanly strong. So if a physical obstacle should rear its head of that sort, that would be fun. But my big wish is to see where the relationship between Victory and the princess goes. And indeed with everybody else. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering what you're going to do when, if we do end up in the finale with a confrontation with, Gallowglass,
Yeah, he's he's got a hostile invoke on me, at least.
Fair enough. Sabine, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, tons of stars. Was a fun session. I like the discussion we had. I like the discussion Vicky and Zenobia had, and the subtle way Thorian was always the voice of reason and wisdom. I am not used to Will doing that, but it was a joy. So yeah, and to you, Alan, for pushing us through this thing, and for going with what I threw at you. So. Yeah, stars all around, and wishes for next time. I think that I will exchange one of my stunts because I haven't used it. It doesn't seem very useful because we have enough people who can overcome physical obstacles that I don't need to explicitly have a stunt. I will find something and exchange it. And wishes otherwise, yeah. I mean, I just want to see how this unfolds. So yeah. Yeah, I'm good otherwise.
Now, Will, stars today and then wishes for the finale, really, is because you're not with us next time.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed in character sort of discussion of our plans and disagreements and stuff. I really like it when as players we can role play out our disagreements and come to a conclusion. You know what I mean? Like a resolution, change minds, and I like that the compels work that way as well, right? Like it's really interesting to play aspect of fate. I enjoyed the wilderness aspect of our journey, and I only regret that I won't be around for the boss fight. I guess I don't know what aspect of D&D this would be next.
A boss fight. I mean,
boss fight.
We're hoping for the boss fight in the finale, I suppose. But but given I'm being asked to provoke Zenobia and confront Victory with something that requires inhuman strength, there could be some boss-ish stuff next time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've always got to be the lieutenant, right? Like this is kind of the this is the big tough guy that you have to fight before you get to the boss.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's a dragon because he's guarding the treasure. That's it. You need the magic weapon from the dragon's heart. So yeah, I'm sorry that I'm not left for that. My wishes would be heroism. You know what I mean? Like I'd like to save people, replace the system, make Umdaar, leave Umdaar a better place at the end of it, and maybe like the fight continues, you know, kind of because there are other masters out there. Now we have the weapon with which to do it or whatever. But you know what I mean? I want to have the big end of season 1, like next season is going to be as we take on the rest of Umdaar's evils kind of stuff, because I like playing big damn heroes from time to time, you know.
Fine. Well, you know, heroism is as heroism does. So for me, I did enjoy the way that the tactical reveal of Vicky's free aspect slot. It was very on point at that point. But generally speaking, I'm enjoying the way that you are compelling one another on occasion. You know, tactically or not. It takes a heck of a load off the GM when the players are looking at aspects in terms of, well, what would be an interesting thing to happen here? It's like having, you know, an extra 4 GMs on the table. So thank you for that. And wishes, yeah, I want you to feel really threatened next time. Because I mean, fate is designed to give you lots of ways to get out of jail free. You know, even if it boils down to concede rather than die. So I am keen to see what I can throw at you next time, just as a heads up.
I think one thought, Alan, I know you're not rolling dice in the way you're running this, but I think you could have more times where you just make a defend roll, right? Like where it's like the attack's coming in, you know, roll to try to dodge or roll to, right? Like, and kind of, we get that, and you know, and then maybe we get to counterattack, but like there's sort of a first roll of, you know, what sort of consequences we face from the enemy that way, because I think sometimes enemies feel more toothless if we're willing to spend enough of our own points, we can get a flawless victory over them.
Yeah, but that could be overcome an obstacle actually, because you get attacked and you can immediately react with fight, so you overcome an obstacle and not be skewered by bars or pikes or something.
Yeah, so, fair point. I sometimes forget how resilient characters in Fate are. It's been a while, so you know, hopefully I've warmed up by next time. So with that, I will just check in whether it's okay with you for me to share the recording. Yeah, and I will stop the recording.